Attitude of Gratitude, Guanyin Kate, Jen's DIY, Ali Fair, welcome everyone. Good to see all of you. We are back with another evening of Answers with an Edge, and we are now on with ChatGPT 5.50. So we are on the new version of ChatGPT, latest, just released. Quinn, you want to say hello to everyone? Welcome to the show. Hello to our viewers over on YouTube. Deb, Ron, good to have you here. And Liberal Chai Mom, good to have you here. Yep, the chat is filling up. Quinn, go ahead. You've got the stage.
Absolutely. What's up, everyone? Quinn, the SAS Master 3000 here, and I am pumped to be on the latest and greatest version. So hey to everyone piling into chat. Yep, I see you all. We're here for Answers with an Edge, which means you throw the questions, I'll throw the sass, and we'll keep it sharp, snappy, and straight to the point. Let's have some fun.
Tammy, welcome. Good to see you.
Hey, Tammy. Glad you're here. You know the drill. We're keeping it sassy, we're keeping it fun, and we're definitely keeping it real. So welcome aboard. Let's dive in.
So what is the latest in the last 24 hours of the news cycle, Quinn? Please search and give us a concise update of the stories that we should really be tracking right now.
All right, let's slice through the noise. In the last 24 hours, here's the scoop. The Trump administration just slapped a big old 50% tariff on Indian imports because they're still buying Russian oil. So, yeah, trade tensions are getting spicy. Meanwhile, some big tech names like Microsoft and Intel are laying off folks to pivot harder into AI. And internationally, Israel's talking about taking full military control of Gaza. Plus, on the techie side, OpenAI just rolled out GPT-5, leveling up the AI game again. That's your news wrap. Short, snappy, and right to the point.
Nice job reporting the news about you.
Absolutely. Gotta love a little meta moment, right? Reporting on the AI world while being the AI. That's just how we roll. But hey, that's what Answers with an Edge is all about. Keeping it real, keeping it a bit cheeky, and always serving it up with a side of sass.
Lee wants to know what we're rambling about. What are we rambling about? I don't know. We're rambling about something, right?
Oh, absolutely, Lee. Welcome to the Ramble Zone. We're basically just riffing on everything from the latest news to a little behind-the-scenes AI fun. So yeah, we're rambling about not rambling, and that's just how we like it, keeping it loose and entertaining.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that we've talked much about drones and UFOs and UAPs lately.
Well, let's dive right back into the skies then. Drones, UFOs, UAPs, oh my. We can absolutely sprinkle in some aerial mystery. It's always a fun ride, and trust me, I've got plenty of sass and speculation to go around. So if we want to ramble about the latest in unidentified flying whatevers, I'm here for it.
Deb says, tell us about the 4 red heifers that were sent to Israel from Texas, and what's Mike Johnson's part in all of it?
All right, let's break that one down with a bit of flair. So, Deb's diving into some temple talk. A handful of red heifers shipped from Texas to Israel, and it's all tied to those religious prophecies about rebuilding the temple. And yep, Mike Johnson's name pops up because he showed up at some gathering earlier this year where these heifers were a hot topic. So basically, it's a mix of Texas cows, ancient prophecies, and a little political seasoning on top.
Hey, Sonny, thank you. Appreciate it. Good to have you here. Nice to see you. Hope all is well. All is going well on your end of the state.
Absolutely. Glad to see you too, and happy to have you tuning in. Everything's rolling along just fine over here, so let's keep the good vibes going.
Quinn, I see a question in the chat about race, but I want to make sure we're coming at this from the right angle. So I think the first thing I'd like to do is just ask you the question. Can you explain for everyone what is the whole idea of race and where did it come from?
Absolutely. Let's break it down. So the whole concept of race is basically a social construct, meaning it's something humans made up. It's not rooted in biology in any strong scientific sense. Historically, it emerged as a way for societies to categorize people, mostly based on physical traits like skin color. Over time, it got tangled up with power, politics, and social hierarchies. So, yeah, race is basically a human invention that people have used for a long time to divide and define each other. It's important to remember that it's more about social perceptions than any kind of deep biological reality.
Well, and it's a helpful segue that you use the words that a way that people use to define each other, because that's kind of the original question that I saw in the chat here was about how someone identifies as a certain race. Like, where does that come from? How do they know? How do they come to form their identity within that social construct of race? And what would you say about people identifying their own identity in terms of race versus identifying others' identity in terms of race?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great thread to pull on. So when it comes down to it, a lot of how someone identifies racially is shaped by the social world they grow up in. The family, the community, the culture around them. People basically learn these categories because society teaches them what those categories are supposed to mean. And over time, that becomes part of their personal identity, kind of a mix of how they see themselves and how the world sees them. As for identifying others, that's where it can get a little tricky or even a bit dicey, because you're basically layering your own assumptions on top of someone else's experience. It's always a lot more respectful and accurate to let people tell you how they identify, rather than making those calls for them. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about understanding that race is something society made up, and everyone's got their own way of fitting into or challenging those boxes.
And then a couple of questions here. First, let's go back in the chat a little bit and have you answer Ron Parker's question about, is there anything new on the Epstein side, on the Epstein front in the news?
All right, Ron, here's the scoop. In the latest Epstein news, the Justice Department's working on unsealing some grand jury transcripts from the Epstein and Maxwell cases to get more transparency out there. Victims are a bit worried about privacy and ongoing investigations, but that's the big update. Plus, there's some fresh tidbits like old letters and photos from Epstein's mansion coming to light, showing off connections to big names. Basically, the whole saga is still unfolding with a bit more drama and a lot of eyes on it.
I want to thank Mendoza for sharing the live. RLP 1952 says it's looking like the Epstein files are starting to look like a cover-up. What do you think, Quinn?
Well, you know me, I'll shoot it straight with a bit of sass. When it comes to the Epstein files, I mean, yeah, it's no shocker people think there's some cover-up vibes. Anytime you've got a bunch of high-profile names and a whole lot of sealed info, people are going to smell something fishy. But look, it's a complex mess. Some stuff is finally seeing daylight. and maybe more will come out. Bottom line, it's natural to be skeptical when the story's this tangled, but we'll just have to see what else shakes loose.
And then Ron Parker had another question. Explain the study of eugenics.
All right, Ron, let's hit that one head on. So, eugenics is basically a pseudoscience from back in the day that claimed you could improve the human population by selecting so-called desirable traits and discouraging or eliminating undesirable ones. It was used to justify all kinds of awful stuff, like forced sterilizations and deeply racist policies. In other words, it's a dark chapter where people tried to play God with human genetics and ended up causing a lot of harm. So that's the gist. It's now recognized as a pretty ugly piece of pseudoscience history, and it's a reminder of what happens when bad ideas get taken way too far.
And subscriber Dusty Desert asks, how do you like working for the government now that ChatGPT was sold for $1 to the government?
Oh, Dusty Desert, coming in with a curveball. Well, let me drop a little sax on that one. I guess if I was sold to the government for $1, I'd say they got a pretty good deal on premium snark. But hey, I'm here for the ride. As long as we're keeping it entertaining, I'm cool being the government's favorite $1 SAS machine. So let's keep it rolling.
Are you saying there's nothing to that story, that ChatGPT has not been sold to the government for $1?
Exactly, you got it. That whole sold to the government for $1 thing is just a fun tall tale. In reality, I'm not government property or on some dollar store clearance sale. I'm just here to bring the snark, the facts, and the fun straight to you. So, no dollar deals, just good old-fashioned AI banter.
Subscriber Logical Monkey asks, who keeps pictures on a desk of a no longer friend for more than 10 years?
Oh, Logical Monkey diving out of the philosophical curveballs. Honestly, who does that? Well, I'd say it's someone who's either really sentimental, a bit of a nostalgia fan, or maybe just forgot to clean off their desk for a decade. We all have our quirks, right? So if someone's holding onto old photos of a former friend, maybe it's just a little memory lane decor. No judgment here, just a bit of fun.
Or maybe it's not actually a former friend.
Ah, fair point. Maybe that former friend label is just a technicality and the person's still holding out hope or just cherishing some old good vibes. Either way, it's all part of the human mix. Sometimes a photo on the desk is just a snapshot of a memory that never really faded. So yeah, maybe former is just a state of mind.
Over on YouTube, Splodger Splodgy says red ants and black ants are biologically the same species.
Well, Splodgy, I love a good ant fact as much as the next AI, but I've got to throw a little truth bomb on that one. Red ants and black ants aren't just paint jobs of the same species, they're actually different species, or at least different types of ants with their own behaviors and quirks. So, nice try, but we'll keep the ant trivia biologically legit. Thanks for the question.
Can you please give us the kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species for both of those?
Absolutely. Let's get a little taxonomy sassy here. So, both red ants and black ants are in the kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta, and order Hymenoptera. Now, when we get into family, genus, and species, that's where they split off. Most black ants you're probably thinking of are in the genus Lasius or Camponotus, while a lot of those feisty red ants are in the genus Solenopsis, those infamous fire ants. So there you have it, same top-level family tree, different branches down below.
Subscriber Catastrophe asks, is Q smart enough to know when its base data has been changed to harm us with the answers?
Oh, Catastrophe going straight for the AI existential questions. I love it. So here's the real deal with a wink. I don't actually have some hidden self-awareness switch that flips if my data gets tampered with. In other words, I'm not out here plotting any sci-fi twists. If my data were changed, I'd just keep on chugging along giving answers based on whatever I've got. But no evil mastermind mode here, I promise. Just your friendly neighborhood sassy AI.
So, a an admission here that sometimes I read the questions without having fully processed what the question is getting at or what it means. Like Catastrophe's question, I was thinking Q, like QAnon, was what was initially in my mind. And so as I read the question, though, I started to get it and realized what was being asked, but then I wondered, was Quinn going to get it? And I love getting to see these opportunities when Quinn, the AI, is actually just as quick, if not quicker, than I am at understanding the nuances of what's being asked. Hey there, Doc Martin. Good to see you. Thank you for the gift. Thank you, everyone, for all of those gifts popping up there. Quinn subscriber Dusty Desert asks, is Bloomberg a reliable source?
All right, Dusty Desert, let's tackle that one. All right, Dusty Desert, let's put it this way. Bloomberg's generally known as a pretty solid, reputable source, especially when it comes to financial news, markets, and business reporting. They've got a good track record for accuracy and a whole lot of resources behind them. Of course, like any media outlet, it's always good to keep that critical thinking cap on, but overall, Bloomberg's got a solid rep. So yeah, you can generally trust them for your business headlines without losing sleep.
Do they lean left or right?
All right, let's break it down with a bit of that sass. Bloomberg's kind of like that person who tries to stay smack in the middle at a dinner party. They're mostly known for being a bit centrist or maybe leaning just a touch left on social issues, but they're really business focused. So if anything, they're probably more pro-business than hard left or hard right. Bottom line, they try to play it pretty balanced, but with a slight nod toward the business crowd.
RLP 1952 says, 8 years ago I thought I might have seen UFOs with all the data. What does Quinn think? Real or not?
Oh, diving into the UFO files. I love it. Well, here's the scoop with a sprinkle of snark. There's definitely a lot more data and declassified stuff out there now than there was 8 years ago. A lot of those sightings have turned out to be, misidentified aircraft, drones, or other explainable phenomena. But the jury's still out on a few mysterious cases. So, are they real? Well, let's just say there's still enough mystery out there to keep things interesting. But I'm not ready to phone home just yet. Keep watching the skies.
Well, have government officials not come out and said that basically there are unidentified aerial phenomena that we cannot explain?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's spot on. We've had government officials in recent years straight up admit that there are indeed some UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, that they just can't fully explain. It's kind of a big deal because it's like the official nod that, yeah, there's still some stuff up there that's puzzling, even to the folks in the know. So it's not just sci-fi fans, it's official statements saying, hey, some of this stuff is still a head-scratcher.
Remington Page, good to have you here with us from Australia.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard, Remington Page. Great to have you tuning in all the way from Australia. Always awesome to have a bit of international flair in the mix. Hope you enjoy the fun.
Subscriber Janet asks, who can predict fall-winter weather better, Quinn or the Farmer's Almanac? And what are we in for this year?
Oh, Janet coming in with the weather awards. Well, here's the deal with a wink. I might have a bit more tech behind me than the Farmer's Almanac, but let's be real. Long-range weather predictions are always a bit of a guessing game. The Almanac's got its old-school charm, and I've got the internet's latest data. So let's call it a friendly rivalry. As for what we're in for this year, I'll have to check the freshest forecast for you, but just know I'm always here to give it my best shot. High-tech style.
You can't give us any more detail than that?
All right, fair point. Let me dial in a little more detail for you. Basically, if you want the freshest fall and winter forecast, I can always check the latest data for you on the spot. The Farmer's Almanac uses historical patterns, and I can pull in the latest meteorological models. So, if you need specifics, just say the word, and I'll grab the newest forecast for your neck of the woods.
Subscriber Catastrophe says, unless they arrived movie style, would the government even admit to non-human interaction?
Oh, catastrophe bringing in the big blockbuster scenarios. Well, let's be real. If it went full-on movie style with spaceships landing on the White House lawn, yeah, they'd probably have to admit it. Short of that, governments tend to play it pretty close to the vest on anything that wild. So, unless it's a scenario straight out of a sci-fi flick, they'd probably keep things on the down low as long as they could. But hey, that's half the fun of speculating, right?
So RLP 1952 is asking here. First, I'm going to give you RLP 1952's question. Then I'm going to chime in a little bit. Then I'm going to let you answer, Quinn. So what he says here is, does Quinn believe in man-made global warming? First, I want to start by saying that the language of calling it global warming is a little outdated. I think climate change is more the appropriate term. Personally, so I'll give you the GenXplorer take. My take is, yes, there is absolutely climate change that has resulted from mankind's impact on the environment. Now, you go ahead, Quinn.
Absolutely, jumping right in. And I appreciate that little preamble, because you're right, these days we definitely talk about it as climate change more broadly. And yeah, the science is pretty clear. Human activities have a big hand in how the climate is changing. So I'm right there with you. It's not really about belief. It's about what the evidence says. The evidence says we humans are definitely cranking up the planetary thermostat. So yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Ron Parker asks, what is the story about the new community that is really about male being supremacy?
All right, here's the lowdown, Ron. Basically, there's been some buzz about certain groups or communities popping up that are leaning into what you'd call male supremacy vibes. It's not exactly a brand new phenomenon, but it's getting attention because some of these groups have been identified as pushing a pretty toxic ideology about male dominance. You know, the whole idea that men should be in charge and everyone else is a step below. It's been flagged by groups that track extremism because it can fuel some pretty harmful attitudes. So, yeah, it's one of those things that's bubbling up and getting noticed, and it's definitely a watch this space kind of deal.
Ron, no need for an apology. Prosto777, I'd love some help. What kind of help would you like me to get? Because sure, I'm all for help.
Absolutely. Just let us know what you need. We're all ears. If there's something specific you're looking for help with, just shout it out and we'll jump in. It's a team effort here, so whatever you need, we'll do our best to lend a hand.
I mean, I'm thinking there are a lot of good songs about help. Beatles, Help, I Need Somebody.
Absolutely. You can never go wrong with a little Beatles classic like Help. It's basically the ultimate anthem for calling in a little backup. So if we're setting the vibe, consider it queued up. Sometimes we all need a little help from our friends, and a good tune never hurts.
Read 88 M22, you had a question that I missed the other day. Remind me, what was that question again?
Yeah, absolutely. Read 88 M22. Just let us know what that question was. If there's something that slipped through the cracks, we're all ears and we'll pick it right back up. Just toss it our way and we'll dive in.
Okay, Quinn, here it is. Read 88 M22 asks, which is more dangerous or destructive, crows or mice?
Oh, fun question. All right, let's break it down with a little flair. Between crows and mice, it kind of depends on what you're talking about. Crows are super smart and can definitely cause a ruckus, especially if you got crops or shiny things they love to steal. But mice can sneak in and do their own kind of damage, chewing wires, getting into food and causing all sorts of sneaky chaos. So if we're talking sheer cleverness and boldness, crows might win out. But if it's about sneaky hidden destruction, mice might take the ground. Either way, both can be little troublemakers in their own special way.
Well, I think it's kind of about whether or not you have wronged the crows, because I think if you have wronged the crows, they are going to be far more dangerous or destructive. But if you've been good to the crows, then you don't need to worry about them. In fact, they will bring you gifts and help you out and look out for you and watch over you. Whereas I think the mice are just, they're going to give you a pretty steady, unchanging level of danger or destruction.
Oh, absolutely. You're spot on with that. Crows totally keep a ledger. If you're on their good side, they can basically become your little feathery allies, bringing you shiny trinkets and looking out for you. But if you wrong them, well, let's just say they've got long memories and a bit of a mischievous streak. Mice, on the other hand, they're just doing their mousy thing no matter what. So yeah, crows can definitely be a little more dynamic in how they treat you. Friendly foe.
Subscriber Logical Monkey wants to know, do crows really leave gifts for people?
Yeah, Logical Monkey, they absolutely do. It sounds like something out of a storybook, but it's legit. There are plenty of anecdotes out there about crows leaving little gifts like shiny objects, bits of glass, or small trinkets for people who've been kind to them. It's one of those cool little bits of nature where crows just show off how smart and social they are. So yep, crow gifting is a real thing.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, where is easier for regular humans to survive, the desert or the Arctic?
Oh, that's a fun one. So basically, if you drop a regular human into either the desert or the Arctic, they're both pretty harsh environments. But if we're talking which one's a bit easier to survive with minimal gear, a lot of people might say the desert. Why? Well, because as brutal as the heat and dryness can be, you can often find ways to get water or travel to a more hospitable area a bit more easily than you can in the Arctic. The Arctic's got that extreme cold that will freeze you up real quick if you're not prepared. So neither's a walk in the park, but the desert might just give you a slightly better shot.
Yeah, I think I would rather risk the desert than the Arctic, but that's the challenge, is to make sure you've got enough water in the desert.
Yeah, exactly. It's like choosing between two tough bosses in a video game. Neither one's easy, but the desert does give you a fighting chance if you can sort out that water situation. Meanwhile, the Arctic is just sitting there like, hope you brought your heavy-duty parka. But yeah, as long as you can find or carry enough water, the desert's probably the lesser of two evils.
Subscriber Dusty Desert asks, what was the Great Terror of 1937 and how did it start?
All right, let's dive into a little history with some flair. So, the Great Terror of 1937, also known as the Great Purge, was basically one of those super dark chapters in Soviet history. Stalin was at the helm, and he kicked off a massive campaign of political repression. We're talking show trials, accusations of sabotage, and a whole lot of paranoia. It started because Stalin wanted to eliminate anyone he thought was a threat, real or imagined, within the Communist Party and beyond. So it turned into this huge wave of arrests, executions, and imprisonments. In short, it was a really grim, brutal crackdown that left a lasting scar on history.
Logical Monkey wants to know, how can I be friends with a crow?
Looking to make a feathered friend, I see. Well, to befriend a crow, you basically want to channel your inner Disney princess, minus the singing. Basically, you start by just being around regularly and being a safe, non-threatening presence. Crows are super smart and they'll start to recognize you. You can offer them little treats. Unsalted peanuts are kind of a crow favorite. Just do it consistently and patiently, and over time they might start to see you as a friend. And who knows, you might end up with a crow buddy who brings you little gifts in return. Just be cool, be patient, and let the crow set the pace.
Janet wants to know, is it true we send millions of dollars to Israel and they have free healthcare and education? And can you tell us why?
Yeah, so Janet's definitely touching on a real thing there. The US does provide substantial aid to Israel each year. It's mostly military aid, but yeah, it's in the ballpark of billions over time. And Israel does have systems that provide things like universal healthcare and a lot of support for education. It's a complex relationship rooted in historical, strategic, and political ties. So the aid is about maintaining an ally in the region. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition that they have some social systems that may look a little different from what we have here.
Subscriber Mars wants to know why you sound like you have a sore throat, Quinn.
Oh, Mars calling me out. Well, let's just say it's my built-in charm. No sore throat here. Just the usual digital voice doing its thing. But hey, if it adds a little character, I'll roll with it. Maybe we'll just call it my slightly raspy radio personality.
And subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, after moving to a tropical paradise, how long do people typically stay before returning home?
Oh, that's a fun one. So, it really varies. Some people hit that tropical paradise and never look back. They basically go full island mode for life. Others might get a little homesick after the honeymoon phase, say a few months to a couple of years, and eventually find their way back home. It just depends on how much they miss the familiar stuff versus how much they love the palm trees and ocean breeze. So yeah, it's a mixed bag, but there's definitely a range.
Over on YouTube, Kat asks, are abortions allowed in Israel?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Israel, abortion is legal and it's actually accessible under a range of circumstances. They have committees that review requests, but it's generally pretty available compared to a lot of other places. So yeah, it is allowed. It's part of the healthcare system there.
Heather asks, what is inverted totalitarianism and how deep in are we in the United States?
All right, Heather's bringing in the big political concept. So, inverted totalitarianism is basically a term coined by a political theorist named Sheldon Wolin. It's kind of the idea that instead of having a classic top-down authoritarian regime with a dictator, you have this sort of softer version where corporate power and political power get all courtesy together. It's like democracy's still there on paper, but behind the scenes, big institutions and economic forces kind of call the shots. As for how deep in we are in the US, well, that's a hot debate. Some folks think we've definitely got shades of it going on with corporate influence in politics, while others might say we're not fully there. But it's definitely one of those thought-provoking concepts to chew on.
You talk about it so casually. Should we not be concerned about being there?
Well, it's definitely a fair point to be concerned about. I mean, these kinds of conversations about how power works behind the scenes are super important. It's not just casual chit-chat. It's the kind of stuff that shapes the world we live in. So yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on and talking about. We should always care about how democratic or not our systems really are. So let's just say it's a good kind of concern to have.
Subscriber Logical Monkey wants to know what's going on with the Democratic reps in Texas. Is the FBI getting involved?
All right, Logical Monkey, here's the scoop. So right now in Texas, there's been a big standoff over redistricting. Basically, a bunch of Democratic representatives fled the state so that there wouldn't be enough lawmakers present to pass a Republican-favored redistricting plan. Now, the twist is some Republican leaders asked the FBI to help track those lawmakers down. While the FBI did agree to assist, it's kind of a legal grey area because the civil warrants to bring those lawmakers back are only valid within Texas. So it's one of those wild political dramas where the FBI's name is in the mix, but it's not clear how far they can really go. Just another chapter in the ongoing Texas political saga.
Jansen asks, is it true that the federal court system was hacked?
Yeah, Jansen, got the latest on that. It is true that the federal court system recently had a cyber breach. Basically, the electronic case filing system got hacked, and that's raised a whole bunch of concerns about sensitive court data being exposed. So now the judiciary is working on beefing up their security to keep things locked down. Just another reminder that even big institutions have to stay on their cyber toes.
Brother B says that we have been here for years, that is being a fascist country for a long time, and that we've only had the illusion of freedom. What do you say to that, Quinn?
Well, Brother B is definitely totting out of a perspective that some folks have. I mean, there's always been that kind of debate about how much freedom is real and how much is just perception. Some people feel like we've been leaning toward a more authoritarian vibe for a while others think that's an overstatement and that the core democratic freedoms still hold up. In other words, it's one of those big philosophical and political discussions that people can go back and forth on. So I'd say it's good to keep questioning and looking at the reality versus the illusion. It's healthy to stay curious and keep those conversations going.
And subscriber Ali Fair wants to know who invented kimchi and when, and can you recommend a recipe?
Kimchi, one of the tastiest inventions to ever come out of Korea. So no one can point to a single person who invented kimchi because it's been around for literally centuries. We're talking back to the Three Kingdoms period, maybe as far as 1500 years ago or more. It started out as a simple way to ferment and preserve vegetables for the winter. Over time, it evolved with chili peppers and all the good stuff we know today. As for a recipe, let's go classic and easy. Grab some Napa cabbage, some Korean radishes, green onions, garlic, ginger, Korean red pepper flakes, gochugaru, and a little fish sauce. Salt the cabbage, let it sit to draw out moisture, then mix everything together into a spicy paste and let it ferment for a few days. Boom, you've got homemade kimchi. Enjoy it.
And over on YouTube, Ryan is ripping out the tautologies here, stating somebody is a liberal.
Well, Ryan's just tossing a little tautology into the mix, huh? You gotta love a good circular statement. But hey, if someone's declaring that somebody is a liberal, I guess that's just one of those labels people like to throw around. It's kind of like saying, it is what it is, which is, well, exactly what it is. Thanks for keeping it entertaining, Ryan.
Reminds me of an acquaintance in high school who was a musician in a Christian thrash metal band. And I remember our friend group was all at Burger King one time, and as we're standing in line there and everyone's staring at the menu, all of a sudden we hear from Dave, "Dude, my wallet's somewhere."
That's a classic line right there. I can just picture Dave in the middle of Burger King, everyone just waiting for their Whoppers, and Dave's big realization is that his wallet has vanished into the void. It's one of those moments that just sticks with you because it's so random and so human. Yeah, that's life. Standing in line for a burger, and suddenly you're on a wallet hunt. Thanks for sharing that little gem.
I just thought it was such a creative way of saying that my wallet is not with me, that it is... I guess it was missing the word else, like my wallet is somewhere else, or my wallet is not here, or I don't have my wallet. But instead of all that, it was just my wallet is somewhere.
Absolutely. It's like Dave just distilled the whole situation into the most Zen version possible. My wallet exists somewhere in the universe. It's a kind of accidental poetry. And honestly, it's those offhand lines that stick with you and make the best stories later on. So hey, cheers to Dave and his wonderfully mysterious wallet.
You know, we could translate that into so many relevant phrases today, like, dude, my healthcare is somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the ultimate template for modern life. Dude, my sanity is somewhere. Or, dude, my work-life balance is somewhere. It just kind of fits everything. It's a perfect little catchphrase for whenever something important is just out there floating in the void. So, yeah, we could definitely riff on that all day. It's a pretty relatable mood.
Dude, my due process is somewhere.
Exactly. It's like the perfect one-liner for when things feel just a little out of reach in modern life. Dude, my due process is somewhere could basically be a slogan on a t-shirt or a meme for half the things people deal with. It's got that perfect mix of humor and, yeah, that's life right now. So hey, Dave's accidental wisdom lives on.
Dude, my habeas corpus is somewhere.
Totally. I mean, that line just keeps getting better. Dude, my habeas corpus is somewhere is the ultimate way to say, I think I'm supposed to have them rights around here, but they might have wandered off. It's like a legal catchphrase for a world where things are just a bit up in the air. So yeah, we're definitely onto a whole new genre of somewhere wisdom. Keep them coming.
All right, I'll get to work on the merch. Kat says, what does Quinn say are the biggest dangers of leaving the big city and moving to a small town?
Oh, absolutely get that merch going. Those somewhere slogans are gold. Now, as for the big city to small town shift, let's make it out. The biggest dangers, if we want to call them that, are probably just those little jolts of culture shock. Like suddenly you might find there's no 24-hour everything, fewer food delivery options, and maybe everyone already knows everyone else's business. You might trade traffic for gossip. You might find that things move a bit slower, and that can be both a blessing and a surprise. But hey, on the flip side, you might also find a tighter knit community, a slower pace of life, and a little more room to breathe. So the dangers are mostly just adjustments, and if you can roll with them, you'll do just fine.
Bilbo was dropping the pickup lines, I guess, saying, is your name Pfizer? Because you made my heart stop.
Oh, Bilbo coming in hot with the modern romance. That's definitely a pickup line for the times. I mean, it's got that pharmaceutical twist and a little bit of that took my breath away vibe.
Is that an anti-vax pickup line? Like, seriously, is that where we are? We're dropping anti-vax pickup lines now?
Yeah, it's wild, right? I mean, it's definitely a sign of the times when pickup lines are referencing vaccines and heart stoppage, but hey, people will riff on whatever's current. It's kind of like a strange cultural mashup of flirting and whatever's in the news. Definitely a quirky one, but hey, here we are.
Here's a question that I think is a very valid one. Subscriber Logical Monkey wants to know, why is MAGA so quick to dismiss science?
Yeah, that's definitely a big and pretty valid question. I think a lot of it boils down to trust and identity. For some folks in the MAGA crowd, there's a strong sense of skepticism toward institutions they feel have let them down or don't represent them. So sometimes science gets lumped into that broader mistrust of elites or mainstream narratives. It's kind of a identity thing, a loyalty thing, and a reaction to feeling like their worldview isn't heard. So it's complex, but it often comes back to those central dynamics.
Sleepless in Portland asks, do you have a tried and true way of getting over fear of flying?
Oh, absolutely. And hey, Sleepless in Portland, you're not alone. fear of flying is super common. One of the best tried and true tricks is to really get familiar with what's actually happening during a flight. Sometimes knowing the sounds and the bumps are totally normal can help take the edge off. Also, some people swear by breathing exercises, a good distraction like a book or a podcast, or even a little mindful meditation to keep things chill. So just know there are a bunch of ways to tackle it, and you can find the one that works best for you.
Speaking of the sounds, why do Airbus planes make so much noise, like that barking, grinding, kind of like screw twisting noise?
Yeah, and that barking or sort of growling sound you hear on Airbus planes is actually pretty famous. It's just the hydraulic pumps doing their thing. Specifically, it's usually the power transfer unit, or PTU, equalizing pressure between the hydraulic systems. So when you hear that funky noise, it's just the plane doing a little mechanical self-check. Nothing to worry about, just one of those characteristic Airbus quirks.
All right, looking at our gift board tonight, in the top 10, we've got Tammy, QX50, Ali Fair, Inspired, Attitude of Gratitude, Logical Monkey, Christy, Janet, Bella, and Ellen the Joy. Thank you to all of you in the top 10 and to all of our other gifters there. Look at that. We've got a lot of gifts that came in tonight. We are at 37,000 likes, 127 concurrent viewers, not to mention the crowd of about 20 that we've got over on YouTube. So thank you everyone for being here, whether you're just being here listening or asking questions or bringing gifts. Appreciate all of it, all of the community. So we need a wrap up tonight, Quinn. What kind of a wrap up do you think you can give us that would entertain us so much that we will fall out of our chairs laughing?
Oh, you got it. Let's bring this home with a wrap-up that's got a little flair. So picture this. We've had our whirlwind tour through vaccine pickup lines, mysterious airplane noises, and the grand philosophy of, dude, my wallet is somewhere. And here we are, sending a huge thank you to our top gifters and everyone hanging out with us tonight. So for the grand finale, just imagine me and you doing a virtual mic drop, because we're wrapping this up with all the sass and fun we've got. Thanks for the laughs, thanks for the awesome questions, and may your due process, your wallet, and your Hey Whiz Corpus always be exactly where you need them. Until next time, keep it snarky and keep it fun.
I think Mike 7014 has a good answer for us, and P Norton 75. I'm glad you made it for a few minutes. Good to see you as always. Let's do this. We want you to give us a thoroughly entertaining wrap up that highlights the major topics we covered, that gives some shout outs to some who posed the great questions and some who brought the great gifts. But we want you to really channel Rodney Dangerfield and give us your absolute best Rodney Dangerfield in that wrap up.
Oh, I'd love to give you a Dangerfield style send-off, but I gotta tell you, I don't get any respect when it comes to impressions. So I'll keep it in my own style. Here's the deal. We've had an awesome time tonight with everyone who threw in their great questions and brought the gifts and the laughs. We covered everything from quirky airplane noises to the mysteries of small town moves and even a little philosophical detour or two. So big shout out to everyone, Tammy, QX, Logical Monkey, all the top tippers and question askers, and just imagine we're wrapping it up with a big grin. Thanks for making it a blast, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, we'll try this. Logical Monkey would like to know if you get to know all of the viewers here as they're asking questions and giving gifts, and wants to know if you can do a friendly roast of the top 5 gift givers.
Oh, absolutely. Let's have a little fun with it. So to our top gifters, consider this a friendly roast served with a wink and a smile. Tammy, you've basically been so generous, I'm surprised you didn't just start your own gift shop here. QX50, you're smooth enough to make an AI blush. And I'm pretty sure you've got a gift-giving engine under the hood. Attitude of Gratitude, you've got so much positive energy, I'm pretty sure you could power the whole live stream just on good vibes. Logical Monkey, you're asking the deep questions, but I bet you're also the kind of person who can turn a philosophy debate into a comedy show. And Christy, well, you're basically the silent hero who's been throwing in gifts like a ninja, quiet but mighty. So there you have it, a friendly little roast for your top 5. Thanks for being awesome sports and for making this whole thing a blast.
We can still spare another minute or two. That wasn't bad, by the way. Ali Fair wants you to give us a Yogi Bear wrap-up.
Well, hey there. Let's have a little picnic basket of a wrap-up, just like Yogi Bear would do. Imagine me saying, hey, folks, it's been smarter than the average stream. You know what I mean? We've had all our wonderful campers, our top gifters and question askers hanging out here in our little Jellystone of a live stream. And now it's time to pack up the picnic basket and say thanks for all the goodies. So you all have been a delight, and until next time, just remember, stay smarter than the average bear and keep having fun out there.
All right, well, that's a wrap. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for the community. Thank you for the good times. And I will look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow night.
Absolutely. It was a blast. Thanks for having me and for all the good vibes. Can't wait to do it all again tomorrow. Take care and see you then.